Good morning, everyone. Good day, good afternoon to those
Good
of you
morning, Sean.
elsewhere. Um, you know me, I'm Sean, and my co-host today is Jose, but we also have a
Hey guys.
panel, MedTech Leading Voices. So we are going, this is the launch party. Woohoo! As you know, so for the past several years, I've compiled a list. The first year was 25 people worth following on LinkedIn. Why'd I do it? Because I couldn't find on LinkedIn who to follow. It doesn't help you find medtech experts. Like, go ahead and try, you know? So it became a manual process of building the list. And from that, MedTech Leading Voice was launched, which was, 10 or 12 posts per week that are worth reading, and it became a newsletter. And from that, we started the webinars, and the webinar series um, became the foundation for a body of expert content, which we're going to explore today. But before I get into that, I want to say, my relationship with AI goes back exactly 3 years. 3 years ago this week, I had brain surgery and it went very, very badly. It was called guided ultrasound, and I'm not going to name the device manufacturer or the hospital, but I'm going to say that I was supposed to walk out of that surgery. It was, non-invasive surgery. They didn't cut my head open, they just shaved it. And I was a mess for 6 months. I was an absolute mess. And I lost all manual dexterity. I couldn't type. I could barely walk. I had so much edema in my brain from this surgery that I could barely function. And then they put me on this super high dose of steroids for 3 months, which made me insane on top of everything. More insane than I usually am. So, what happened was, since I couldn't type, since I couldn't take notes, since I couldn't barely function, I started recording everything. And from the recordings, I started transcribing everything. And from the transcriptions, I started using ChatGPT to analyze the transcriptions and to work from that. And what I discovered in doing this is, why did I ever bother taking notes in the first place? I just record everything, and able to do things with Claude and with ChatGPT that I was never able to do before, and basically have been able to do the 10 times the amount of work that I was doing on my own, manually, the slow way, writing articles, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff that I did, all the marketing, everything. So, as Jose says, you need to learn how to do 50 hours worth of work in 3 hours. And that's the point of all this. So we started to develop this body of content, and all of these experts and all of these newsletters and all of these slide decks and all of these videos and all of these transcripts from all of you and from all of these meetings. And we decided to compile it into a single searchable AI-driven tool, which Jose is going to introduce today, called MLVx AI. And you can log into it right now, and it's free to use. And many of you are in there already. And um, and you can ask questions. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jose to bring it up and walk us through this amazing thing that he built. And if I haven't thanked him enough, I'm doing it now. Thank you. Enough.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, this has been a pretty fun project. As Sean said, I think, we're at the advent really of a crazy era that's coming upon us. AI is incredibly powerful, but at the same time, we all know that AI is not perfect. Humans aren't perfect. AI is not perfect. Hopefully together we're closer to perfect. And so this platform, as we started brainstorming around it, there's a couple elements to it. So the first element is that the thing I've always loved about this call, going back even years to when Joe headed it up, is that it's not like a one-way communication. It's really a community, right? So there's conversations. I mean, I've come to know many of you through here, and then the conversation continues on LinkedIn, and then we've had Zoom calls, and so now I know that when I get a client who needs help with 6601, I know Leo, and if somebody needs help with QMS, I know Nelly, and somebody needs with regulatory, I know Carrie, and so it's like I've got now a community of experts whose judgment I trust and whom I can refer to my clients or whom I can reach out to myself if I've got questions. But of course, it's not always practical to reach out to everybody at the same time. So what we're trying to do is bring all that knowledge base and all that expertise into a place where people who have questions can get better answers that are more grounded in expertise from people like you. Or if you're on that side, then you can get that. And at the same time, as Sean mentioned, there's not a really good place to find experts in these various fields within MedTech. So we're also trying to do that. And so for kind of like consumers of this knowledge, medical device startups, medical device OEMs, it's a place where they can get better answers and exposure to experts in the field. And then, of course, for the experts, it's a place to really get exposure, to present yourself and to show your skills and show your knowledge base to other people. So that's the vision behind it. Um, I'll say that this is like early days. We haven't been working on this for too long. So we decided not to wait until it was fully polished to start showing it to you guys. This is like a soft launch in our little community of people whom we know and love so that you can give us feedback. And that feedback can be anything from like, hey, Jose, there's a bug, or hey, Jose or Sean, like, I really wish we could also do X, Y, or Z. And I'll show you in a little bit how you can do that. But that's the grand vision behind this. So without further ado, I'll give you a little bit of a walkthrough. When you come to the website, if you haven't signed up, you're still able to like see the various experts. A good chunk of these are MLV 100, and I know that's another purpose for this call is to present to you the MLV 100 2026. And so there's only a little bit over 100 experts on the platform right now because what we did was we brought in that full list of the MLV 100 as the starting group of experts to be on the platform. And then, of course, over time, as people want to be showcased as experts, they can sign up and start providing content. So that's the first piece, and then there's an Ask AI feature, which is like your standard ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, except that it's grounded on the information that comes from experts. So I'm going to go ahead and click the sign up. There's two ways to sign up right now. You can sign up through your LinkedIn. It's our preferred path, if you're open to it, or you can do it through a Google account. I'm going to do through Google because I'm going to sign in as like not my main admin account, but as like a secondary account. And on here, what you'll find is, kind of like your standard, again, chat thing, except it's a little bit different in that you can see on the references where it's pulling information from. So for this particular question, I asked this question because, I write a lot about cybersecurity, and so I knew I'd come up here. So what cybersecurity documents do I need to submit to FDA? And what it's going to pull from is we have over 100 FDA guidance documents. We have dozens of guidance documents from other geographies as well. We have those transcripts from all those webinars that Sean has hosted over the years. We have blog posts that experts have, right now it's primarily mine because you guys haven't come on here to link to your blog post yet. But when you do that, your blog post will be part of what feeds this. And so the response is going to be based on that corpus of well-vetted knowledge. And it's going to be, cited to the experts themselves. So when I ask this question, it's primarily drawing from this first reference, which is the 2026 FDA guidance on cybersecurity. But, it's also pulling some information from me. Like I did this, blog post of like 5 reasons why FDA will refuse your 510(k), or cybersecurity requirements, or like all these various things. And on any of these, I can see who the experts are who are cited here, and I can use this to go to their profile page, where I can also click on this and it'll go to that source. So I'll go ahead and try that real quick. And so you see what it does is it goes to my website with the blog post that I have on there. So as an expert, one of the reasons why this is good for you is because this is now bringing people who come to ask a question to your website. And that has a couple benefits. One of them is that, of course, now they're kind of more in your sphere and can see what else you're up to. Number two, it's good for search engine optimizations because now you're getting backlinks to your website. So that's the benefit to the experts. And here, let's see. If I go back here and then on the expert side of things, I can click on Jose's page. Right now, we're pulling a lot of this information right from your LinkedIn profile. So if you went on my LinkedIn page, it looks very much like this. And as experts, when you have an expert account, you'll be able to add your own call to actions, your own CTA buttons. So right now, as an expert, I set up this one, which is like our cybersecurity quick start guide, which is a document you can get on our website. Um, but then also, you can schedule a meeting with me. That comes up, and then you can ask about me, that kind of stuff. It tells you it's like a shortened version of your LinkedIn profile. Um, Actually noticing that my LinkedIn button is on there, so I'll make sure that's added. But like if we go to Sean's, you'll see that I can click on this and connect to his LinkedIn profile, so that I can connect to them on LinkedIn, which is great. Okay, what else can I show you?
So,
I guess
question.
maybe before I go much farther, let me see if there's any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I'm a little slow when it comes to these types of tools, getting on board on them. So, my question is, how easy it is. Like, for example, do I post here and then automatically post to LinkedIn, or do I post to LinkedIn and it links back? I mean, what's the direction of communication?
So from a posting standpoint, we actually haven't added that as a feature. We've got some ideas around that. And so kind of like a live feed of short posts, that's not something we've added. It would be more like if you're, here, I'll go back to my profile here. Um, on here, you'll be able to post things like content, like blog posts, like longer form stuff. You'll be able to post media like videos and slides. And then we'll be able to pull in like webinar transcripts and things like that. So right now it's meant to be more like long form content that's being pulled in here. Um,
Library, like a library, not an instant post.
Correct. Yeah. And so and that's one of the things like here you're going to see there's now a pretty good video library. So there's like 63 different videos on here. I'm not logged in as an expert right now, so that's one of the differences. So here, let me log out and I'm gonna sign back in now with my LinkedIn account. Okay, cool. So now when I go, where is it? Okay, yeah. So now because I'm logged in as an expert now, I can add videos, right? So I can say, hey, here's like a thing either through URL or I can or the videos are all through URL. If the other option that I have is to upload slide decks, and then those you can do a URL or you can upload a PDF. And when you upload a PDF, it runs it through another large language model that takes a crack at grabbing the title and a brief description of it. So like, for example, if we looked at this um, slide deck from Basil, you see that this enhancing risk management through the product lifecycle, this was pulled directly, and then like a brief explanation of it. And it's like we're just getting started, right? Like we're still coming up with ideas. That's part of like the role that you guys play is to share ideas. Like, hey, Jose, this is cool, but it would be even better if, let's say, you could link this to the webinar, or if I go here and I look at a video right now, we don't have the full transcript located here, even though the transcript of this has probably already been ingested. We don't show it here yet. So over time we'll add those features. And a real easy way for you to do that is when you log in, if you just click here, there's going to be this send feedback button. So if you click on that, you'll be able to, is it general feedback? Is it a feature request or is it a bug report? And then you'll just tell us your subject and a description and submit the feedback. And we're going to try to be really responsive. If it's some gigantic feature, it'll take a little bit longer. But if it's like, hey, it'd be really helpful if you just added this small thing, I mean, maybe within a day, we're able to make those kinds of changes. And bugs, of course, like if you find bugs, um, please report that back. So those are various ways. There's other stuff that I can show you, but before I do that, let me just pause. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, Jose. I'm logged in right now, and I was looking, and it says I'm not an expert. If you're an expert on MLV and believe this is an error, please contact support. I'm
Okay.
contacting support, I guess.
Real time. Yeah. Good. Yes. So that's a great opportunity, Leo, to do that. And one of the things that we're going to do as part of this, I know a lot of the people on this call are experts, and some are maybe more like, hey, we're just here to learn. But everyone on this call, we've got, so okay, there's a cost to this long term, right? Of course, there's a cost to us, like LLMs charge. Um, but one of the things that we're doing is if you help us spread the word, like if you post about this on LinkedIn and just tag Sean or myself, you're going to get 3 months for free. And it's like I think it's reasonably priced for what you're getting. If you come on here on the pricing page, um, you can be on here for free. You know, the limitation is that you're only going to get 5 questions per day if you don't register. If you do register, still for free, you'll get up to 10 questions per day. But it's not going to save your like chat history and stuff like that. The pro version is $49 a month. You get everything in free. You get like 30 questions a day now, chat history, etc. There's a pro plus version that gives you now 100 questions a day. And then there's an expert version, which, again, like if you're part of the expert category and you just post about this on LinkedIn and copy us, then you're going to get 3 months. Well, any of these, you'll get 3 months for free. So if you're not an expert, you just want a pro plus, you'll get that free for 3 months. Um, like right now, we're kind of in the early days. You know, for most people who want to be involved in this, we're going to give you guys a promo code so that you can do that. But over time, there will be that. Once you create your account as an expert, you're going to be able to link it to your expert profile page, and then you'll be able to do things like, for me, this is linked here. I can actually edit my profile. So if you're not registered as an expert, it hasn't created that link between you as an expert and your expert page. So obviously we don't want just anybody being able to edit somebody else's page. So once you register, it sends us a message. We confirm that you are in fact that person, and then we link them, and then you can come on here and do things like edit your profile, um, title, company, uh, etc. Your specializations, you can choose up to four. We're trying to keep that fairly limited to so that it's easier to search the specializations. Your credentials, you can add all that. Other stuff is analytics. So again, we're building this out, but you'll be able to see if you've got an expert account, like how many profile views, how many people have come and looked at my profile, how many people have ended up clicking to come to my website. um, for your CTAs, how many of those have happened. You'll be able to upload your content here. So videos, slide decks, articles, etc. Add CTAs. So these are the ones that I've added. So you can schedule a meeting with me or the cybersecurity quick start guide, etc. So that would be what the expert page looks like. And yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be kinks that we have to work out. So Leo, I'll take a look at what you got and we'll do that.
So there were some questions about different browsers. Somebody tried to do this with, I think, Safari and they couldn't get in, or
Interesting. All right. Well,
and so there was a question. It was, is there any restrictions Safari, Chrome, Firefox?
there shouldn't be.
And
If
then
you
someone else um, asked, does this come with MLVx membership? Yes, for the time being. Anyone who was a founding member of MLVx, you're you're golden for the rest of the year. The So we can figure that out. Because we only had 38 people join as founding members, and I didn't really push that very hard. But yeah, you guys have uh, um, a huge advantage. Um, and we'll get preferential treatment. Um, let's see, the link is not working. Show um I tried to write all of the blurbs for the MLVx 100 um and basically, what value you provide and why follow you, right? So each one of those blurbs is written like that. They're being updated if they're not up to date yet. Um, we're working on it. But yeah, so there's an example there. And
Yeah.
um,
Kept them pretty brief, right? But yeah, shares pragmatic FDA regulatory strategy for Shell. We're also going to change it. One thing that right now is a restriction, and we're going to remove it, is on the like if you don't register right now, you can see all the experts, but when you click on them, it prompts you to register. We might change that so people can see it no matter what. But all you got to do, you don't need a paid plan. All you have to do is just register for the free version, and you'll be able to see people's profiles.
How are
So
you going to draw in? Because really, the reason we're part of the community, one is to build the community, obviously, but two, it's to find new clients, right? And so that's the reason. So how are you going to make this attractive? Because when you're looking at startups, they don't have every penny counts, right? Every penny pinching it counts. And so, what model are you going to use? I mean, is there going to be a different model for, hey, these are people who are advertising versus, hey, you're a startup. If you're under this cap, we're going to give you this rate so that you can come in and look at experts. What are you going to use to attract potential clients for the base group?
okay, I can address that. First of all, it's always free. Like you and startups and individual users can always use this platform for free. Now,
Okay.
you're going to hit a limit where it's going to say, yeah, you've asked enough questions today, right?
Okay.
But there is the free tier is free forever. Am I correct, Jose?
correct. Yep.
Am I lying?
No, you're not lying.
Okay, so that's really important to understand. They have access to all of the basic functions. Just they're going to hit a limit on the number of questions that they can ask every day because it costs us money. You know, we're then paying for their Chat GPT or their Claude, and that we're not that generous. But the So yeah, that's the one thing. And then the other thing is that an expert can also be on here for free. Um, but they're vetted. We're not just like, hey, you want a profile, is that correct? Or is
Yeah, and the experts, well, right now the linking of an expert account to an expert profile that's existing is there's like you request to be linked to it, and then an admin will review it and then accept it, and then you'll have access to that page. But some of that stuff we're like fleshing out right now, right? So we're
Okay.
starting with, hey, we loaded everybody up there, we created the accounts. This is like very much a beta launch. And we haven't worked through those little kinks of like, hey, what happens if somebody wants to create a brand new expert account, or what happens if somebody wants to be linked to an existing one, or also like what happens if you don't want to be listed on here? That's easy. Like if anybody on here, they're like, hey, I don't want to be on this page, you just send us a message and we'll pull you down. So, I mean, we assumed most of the experts that are selected for the MLV 100 are people who like to post and so presumably want exposure. But obviously we respect everybody's wishes if anybody didn't want to be on here anymore.
oh, and the other thing is that the URL is just MLVx AI,
Yeah.
right? That just type that into your browser.
Yep. Yeah, I'm curious to see. Carrie, did you say yours didn't work? What are you just typing MLVx.ai?
There's a moment in time before coffee. It's fine.
Okay. You had me scared for a second there. Same
Yeah.
thing with the Safari. I mean, I just checked on mine and it works, loads up as
No,
well.
I think Sean, well, what can I blame Sean? There was a, there was a, it's fine. I
You
wrote the
can
wrong,
blame me. I don't care.
I don't
Okay.
know. I wrote the wrong thing. I didn't write .ai. I wrote .com. So don't
Ah,
write
okay.
.com, write .ai, and then you're fine. That's
Yeah,
all. Don't
perfect.
do .com. Then it won't work. If you do
Great.
.ai, then it works just fine.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you
That's
for
the
clarifying that.
public service announcement .ai.
Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome. I'll go back on mute.
So I wanna circle back to this idea of ephemera, like the content that's getting created on LinkedIn, the webinars that are happening, the events that are happening. They're a point in time, and it's like the news cycle. They fade within a week. So the goal for me was there's a lot of value when two or three experts get together and they discuss a topic. For example, earlier this week, Maria Donowa and Danielle Giraud did a fantastic talk on 18969 on clinical evidence, which is the new standard that's being developed for clinical evidence. And nowhere else do you have access to a convener and a stakeholder of the standard that come on and discuss what the standard is, why it exists, where it's going, what it's supposed to do, what it's not supposed to do, answer all the questions around it, and then it goes away. And it's like 460 people went to the event, but what about the rest of the world? And so the idea was to take that content, to capture that content, and then to expand that content so that you're able to interact with it and use it to your own advantage. And so for me, it's like I have all these files. I've got the text files, I've got the JSON files, I've got these files, and but they weren't helping any of you. And the same is true with LinkedIn to a certain extent. Like a lot of you are doing really beautiful infographics um, and explanatory things that show up for what, a day, 2 days on LinkedIn, and then they get buried in the sea of, non-recoverable information, right? Marina is on this call. She produces just a tremendous amount of content, and having an archive of that content that is searchable, accessible, and attributable to her on biocompatibility is going to be extremely valuable for all of the search engines going forward who are relying on authoritative content to understand complex issues, particularly in niche areas like medical devices, if we can call it a niche area. So the my point around all this was as an archivist, as a person who looks at this and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are we letting all this stuff go? And why are we at the whim of the search engines? Why are we at the whim of SEO? Why are we at the whim of the algorithm behind LinkedIn? And I don't want that, Personally, I want to know who can I trust on this topic. And so that's for me the motivation going into this is like to say, no, 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 we're not trusting you to give us the answers. We're going to give our own answers, and we're going to build a community. One word that I'm starting to both love and hate, because I hate jargony words of any kind. But ecosystem is to develop a medtech ecosystem, which is a community, which is content, which is resources, which is interactivity. And I really think that AI is changing the shape of knowledge in the sense that I know that is a garbage marketing expression that I just used. Sorry about that. But your ability to master a topic relatively quickly with AI, or to feel like you've mastered a topic relatively quickly with the help of AI, um, is phenomenal. So how do we then ensure that it's actually factual and that you can trace it back to the guidance document, you can trace it back to the expert, you can trace it back to Nellie Bushman said. She said, this is what we need to do to get our QMS in shape. Carrie Britton said, this is what we need to do to prepare for a Q sub meeting. You know, it's not this unattributable content that is just floating around like, well, who said? Well, ChatGPT said. Okay, you know, do you really want to go to your boss and say, how do you know ChatGPT told me? You know, I don't. I don't even like my boss.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, like somebody asked, and one of the questions was like, are you like vetting the experts as they come on? And I think at first, probably no. Right. And so people need to understand that LLMs, like large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, can make mistakes. They can hallucinate, they can confabulate, they can synthesize, sometimes they call it. So can humans, right? Humans also make mistakes. So you're never going to get an answer that 100% certainly is true. Um, and by the way, like even when you read a guidance document, the guidance documents, those are like, let's say, accurate, but they have to be interpreted. So you're still as a human have to use your intelligence and your judgment, where you're going to say, well, look, I'm coming to MLVx because it's giving me the perspective of experts. Now, are they, am I assured that every expert on here is 100% right all of the time? No, because they're human beings and they might be misinterpreting something. But at least I'm getting that, and at least I'm going to a place where I can see the input from various experts. Over time, we do want to add additional features. So for example, um, like what it's doing right now, maybe I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what's happening in the background. In the background, what this is doing is this has something called I'll get to you in a second, Carrie. It's got what's called a RAG. I guess by the panelists, raise your hand if you've heard of a RAG before. Maybe one or two, not too many. Yeah, so it's a technique it's used pretty regularly. So it's retrieval augmented generation. So the way a large language model works is, you feed it a prompt, and then it goes into like a statistical model is really what it's doing. And then it's like literally token by token, which is oftentimes not even a full word. It's estimating like what should be the next word on this, right? So we don't have to get into those details, but you're feeding it context, like your question. It's going into this model, it's spitting out a response. The coloring or like the details or the quality of the response it's going to give you is a function of what you're feeding into the model. And so that's going to be your prompt, but there's actually also what's called system prompts. So meaning like Anthropic, the reason you can't ask Anthropic, like, how do I make a bomb or something like that, is because Anthropic has system prompts that tell the model not to answer certain questions or to like, be careful not to say certain things. So there's already another system prompt that's going into the model before it gives you a response. The way that a RAG works is that it's got this database of information. And when you ask it a question, the first thing it does is it looks to see this question, is there content in our database that is similar to this question or that seems to be related? And it does that with like semantic kind of calculation. I won't get into the details of that, but it's just like looking to see like, is there other content that we can load into the prompt to give us a more grounded response? So what we're doing in this system is we're taking all of this content from experts and we've built out this RAG so that before it sends that prompt to like, let's say ChatGPT, or well, we're using primarily Anthropic. So Claude 4.6 is the model that we're using right now. Before it sends it, it's grabbing content from like, let's say from a guidance document. You ask a question about cybersecurity, and the first thing it does is says, okay, well, I've got a guidance document in cybersecurity. I've got the E-Star content. I've got this blog post that Jose wrote. I've got this, webinar that, Mark was in, and they all seem to talk about cybersecurity. So I'm going to bring in the relevant parts of those conversations or guidance documents, and I'm going to feed all of that with your question to the large language model so that the response it gives me is more grounded on that rather than just its training. That makes sense? So that's what's happening behind the scenes. And in fact, we have our own system prompt in this, which has certain guardrails like don't answer based on your training, answer based on what's in the RAG. So there's going to be certain questions that you ask today where it's going to say like, I don't really have anything in my system related to this, so I can't answer that question. But maybe here's some like experts whom you might want to reach out to. And then as we add more expert content, then it's going to be able to answer more and more questions, right? So we're trying to be really careful about having it not hallucinate or just give made up answers. With that, there's always a trade-off. So somebody in the chat had asked like, hey, what if I already have a subscription to ChatGPT? It's like, I don't envision this replacing ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. Like those tools have their own purpose and they're very powerful in different ways. They just have their own drawbacks. So I can see myself coming on here to ask certain questions and maybe even asking the same question on Claude or in ChatGPT to get another point of view. Because ChatGPT today will answer a question based on its training, based on it'll do a web search, it'll do all this kind of stuff. So it's just getting information from wherever it wants. And it's going to be, and many times it's a great answer, right? But sometimes it's not going to be a great answer. So you're going to get different answers depending on whether you're asking MLVx or whether you're asking just a standard chatbot model. But I don't know, hopefully that gives you a little bit more sneak peek into what's happening, behind the scenes on this. Any questions or?
Yeah, can you show Maria our references embedded in the information that you just described?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah,
Can I just say while he's doing that, I was just going to say that with this panel of experts, what you're getting is a human in the loop who has that human experience in the loop, who knows those references and can say that, FDA just released E-Star 6.2, which now makes you now submit your bundle of QMSR SOPs with your submission for your next 510K. And I don't think ChatGPT may not know that, for example.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Oftentimes the training for these models are kind of at least a few months behind. And now they're pretty good about searching, like they can do web searches and stuff like that now. But you're not always certain like where it got that information. So this gives you, and what I love about this is just that it gives you access, right? So I had asked the question earlier, what can you tell me about ISO 18969, which Sean mentioned earlier, and we've got Maria on the call here. And it's
Fantastic seminar, by the way, Maria.
yeah. And it's pulling that information right from that discussion, and now it's kind of enriching it with its own judgment and stuff, but it's primarily drawing from it, and it's like right here, it even quotes, right? So as Donawa summarizes, it's supposed to make sense, it's supposed to help, et cetera, et cetera. So you're getting kind of the quotations from the documents, and then if I want to view the sources, I can click right on here and I can see the full transcript of that conversation. We'll see if maybe there's ways that we can improve this down the line. And I know my back to chat right now is broken, so I have to come here, but we'll fix that. That's an easy one. But yeah, it's going to be pulling from that, and it's going to give you access to like who those experts are. I've asked them many questions over the last couple of days, obviously, but yeah. So like this one, which was a cybersecurity question, it pulled content from me because I write a lot about cybersecurity. I've already uploaded like more than 50 sources to this, I think. But it also pulled something from Angelina, and I was like, that's kind of interesting because like Angelina writes more generally about regulatory things. And to my surprise, when I looked at it, it was actually a transcript from a webinar that Mohammed and I did right here. And but Angelina, said some stuff. And so it captured that. And so now I'm like, oh, look, Angelina, like she's got this experience and there's one video with her and all of that.
I have a question here.
Yes.
Sorry for not raising my hand.
Oh, it's fine. Hop in.
Hi, Elon. My name. Hi, Sean.
Hi.
How are you? Just a question that can be regarding privacy here. Are you somehow have access to who asked what, why, when, or this is complete compliance with, I don't know, CCPA or
Yeah.
whatever?
That's a great question. So first off, we don't store, like we don't have access. Even the super admin on the account, which was me,
Okay.
doesn't have access to any of the questions or responses given. At best, what we get is information like if you click on even that though, like if you look in the expert dashboards, so every expert account is going to have a dashboard of like profile views, content views, CTA clicks, but it doesn't tell you who clicked on your profile. And that's a feature that some people might be like LinkedIn does that, right? If somebody comes to your
Yeah.
profile, it can show you who did it. We're kind of erring on the side of privacy, of saying like, I shouldn't be able to see your questions because they could have proprietary information. Every model that we're using, has a privacy
Okay.
policy in place. Like
It is through
Anthropic,
the API, so the API is the most secure
exactly.
way to, yeah,
Correct.
understand.
Yep. That's a great question. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it too. I didn't know the answer.
Yeah. All right. Who else has questions? I see Daniel asking to be promoted. Uh,
I can do that.
yeah, can you promote him?
I just did it.
Okay, cool. And then Maria, you said, are references embedded in the information that you just described? Uh, yes. Yeah, yeah. So the references would be, yeah, like here it's telling you your pre-sub must clearly identify the purpose and the blah, blah, blah. And if I go on the references, it's pulling primarily from this guidance document, which I can click to, and it would take me to the FDA. So like request for feedback and meetings for medical device pre-submissions.
So I wanted to ask Jose a question.
Yeah.
Let's assume for a moment, going back to the privacy discussion, that somebody actually by accident puts information about a product or a process that is just, that belongs to a specific company. So now I go back into the question searching process, and I ask a question about that company. That information is already in the system. Am I going to be able to capture it?
No, I mean the system, the RAG on this system is strictly from sources that are uploaded by people, right? So there's
Ah,
absolutely no training based on questions or answers in the chat.
I see.
Yeah, the only way to get information into that database that it's pulling from is, as an expert, if I went in here and I went into the dashboard and I said my content and I uploaded like a new video or I uploaded a slide deck or I go into this knowledge base and I can upload a PDF or I can upload a URL to my blog post or something, then it'll pull that data. But it's never gonna store or capture the data that you put into the chats themselves. No.
And I think this is something good, obviously, because even though I wouldn't do it, but if somebody did it by accident, at least they will have the assurance that there's nothing that is being saved or stored. Okay, great. Thank you.
Great question. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, Michelle,
Yes,
my
so
neighbor.
yeah, I just realized that about 2 weeks ago. So
Oh, what?
my question is that while you're doing your demo, I see a lot of questions that, like on the left side of your screen. I just logged in, and obviously I probably need to build my own questions because right now when I try to click on the questions, they were just empty and nothing.
Well, you're talking about these questions here?
Yeah.
Well, these are my questions, right? So this is saving my previous searches. So you're not
Okay.
going to see those
Okay.
because this is linked to my account, right? So to Daniel's question earlier, just like, I mean, ChatGPT and Claude do the same thing. where if you've got an account, if you've got a paid account, then you can always go back and look at the history of your own questions. But
Mhm.
I can't go and look at the history of like everybody's questions because, again, that would kind of be a privacy issue. Yeah. But
Okay.
as you start asking questions now, I think right now I have to go back and look. I know right now we're saying that if you register but haven't paid, if you're not registered, it's not going to save your questions for sure because it's like, how can it link it to you if there's no account?
Mhm.
I think right now, even if you're registered, it doesn't save your chat history. Like,
Mhm.
we got to give you a reason to upgrade because somebody's got to pay the bills around here, right?
Mhm.
Um, so we're trying to give people a good amount of value for nothing, but
Mhm.
we're hoping that people find enough value in this that they're willing to, pay what I think is extremely reasonable even for the experts. I mean, I'm really excited about the expert because it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember this, but there used to be a commercial for like hair growth that was like, I'm not only the hair club president, I'm also a client, right? Like that's how I feel about this. Like I'm not just excited to be building this with Sean and his team and my team. I'm excited about this as an expert who wants more clients also. And I have all kinds of ideas of how we make this even more valuable for the experts. Like I think this can become like it's kind of a bigger feature, so it might take us a little while to build it out. But there's a lot of platforms to do courses.
Mhm.
But I think like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a single place where that has all the courses on, these topics that are interesting to me? And I know, places like Raps and other such places have these too. But I think for experts who just are like, I just want to post my course on here, and maybe it's a paid course. I think that's a feature that might be cool to build out. Um, but I think we want to get a lot of these ideas from you. So don't be shy if you're using this and you're like, as a regulatory consultant or as a, quality person or as whatever, a software development firm, it would be really great if I could do this here because our goal is to bring more and more consumers of this content on here, like to provide them value and then to provide the experts value as well.
Right. The way I look at this is that, um, you know, it's just a really nice place, especially like there's a place like all the videos and all the slides. And if I travel and I miss one of the Fridays, I can easily go back instead of try to go to YouTube and find it or wait for the email from Sean. I think this just very valuable to me. And I was shocked to hear only 38 paying members for MLVx. I mean, when Sean gave out the 20% code, I signed up right away. The way I look at it, there's no free lunch. We all try to make a living, and that's why I don't mind paying as long as I learn something. And I did learn a lot for the last, 2, 3 years, because I joined this at the very tail end of Joe's M era. So I don't know how to better say that, but I just really enjoy this learning experience, and also with the 100 experts. And I can just click anybody if I need something. And for example, because of this learning session, I got to know Michelle a lot. And now I'm her client in a very small capacity. But when I need something, I reach out to Tia, I reach out to Michelle, I get answer right away. So, I think this is a wonderful thing as a community. So, I would encourage people, if you could, just be a pay member to keep this community going, because I would hate to see the thing eventually fall apart if there's no financial backing of it. you know so I hope nobody hates me for
Well,
saying. I
you
hope
can't, I
nobody
could
hates
kiss you right now. No, I appreciate you saying that because I think that's all right on. And I think, honestly, like this isn't meant to be like some, hey, Sean and I are gonna get rich off of this because we're not charging a lot and there's not that many medical device experts out there. But you're right, like there is a cost to this, and at some point, like, we are putting a lot of effort into it. So I appreciate you saying that. And also just there's another feature that we haven't tested too much yet, but the idea here is going to be that you can also ask questions. And I don't even know if I've tried this yet, but like, I don't know. Let's think of a good question. Um,
Do what
18969.
usability. What
What's up?
usability? Usability. That's
Usability
fine.
question? Okay, what? Okay, got it. Let's try this one. My startup is building a SAMD product, and we have a question on usability. This is very risky because I don't think this would be the first question. Do we need to do a formative usability study if our app is Class A software? I don't know. I'm big on punctuation, and I guess I can tag it like 510K, and I'm gonna tag it usability. And is there software on here? Software. Okay, cool. I'll post the question. See if this works. Okay, cool. So it worked. And so presumably, as experts, you'll be able to come on here and post your answers. So I'm actually not that short. I think technically no, right? Carrie, you don't formative usability studies aren't required usually anyway, right? Just a summative. I'm not a usability expert.
Jose,
Yeah.
go ahead, Michelle.
Go ahead, Daniel.
No, I was going to ask. I'm intrigued by what you just said. So, if the answer is not there, an expert is going to provide the answer. The only question that I have about that is, how do we know, or who does any sort of certification or validation, like a second person signature type of approach that basically says that statement made by the expert is actually let's say the most correct. We don't have to say it's perfect, but the most correct or a reflection of the current expectation of a regulator. How do we do that? Because as much as I want to put a label of expert to a lot of my friends, I don't necessarily trust their analysis in some cases. So, so I wanted to hear your perspective on that, because then now this is written as the expert opinion, and it may be off the mark.
That's right. So I mean, I'm kind of a free market, both in economics and ideas type of person. And what I like about this is that, hey, look, it all worked. So now there's a question, and then there's an answer, and like, I don't know, my answer was pretty vanilla and not that great, but anybody can answer, right? So now Carrie can jump in here and go like, Jose doesn't know what he's talking about. Of course you need formative usability study or like whatever. And as I'm doing this, I'm already thinking of features that I want to add to this. Like I'm thinking what would be great is like, you should really ask, and then to put an @ sign and be able to have a list of people and type like, Carrie, and have her profile come up and link her, and then she'll get a message. Like that's not built in yet, but I'm already seeing like, hey, that would be a cool feature to have, because I might see a question, I might be like, hey, this is perfect for Daniel to answer. So I might give a little answer and then tag you, and then you'll get a message saying, hey, there's a question here that I think you'd be the perfect person to answer. So, we've done a little bit of this in Slack, where there is a Slack. I don't even know. I haven't been in there for a little while, but there used to be channels for different categories, and so you might get a message. But this is more accessible to other people. Like anybody can really come in here and ask questions. And yeah. So to answer your question, and we can also do things kind of like Reddit, where right now we do have the ability to flag a question, but you can also maybe have up and down votes, right? And so whoever gets the most upvotes would show up farther at the top. But you can always come in here and go like, hey, Jose's answer is not great. Love the guy, but this isn't his area of expertise. Don't trust him on it. And at the end of the day, like, it's like with everything else in life, you get what you pay for, right? So if you're asking a question, you're getting free responses, you're not going to have a guarantee. But what you can do is get a question, and I'm seeing another thing that it's not on here and I want to add, which is you should be able to click on my link and look at my profile, and then click on my LinkedIn and go like, should I trust Jose's answer on usability? Maybe not. So trying to give those human touches to trust, which I think is what it boils down to. Yeah.
I think what's also interesting about the tagging thing is that that sort of leads to like lead gen in a way. And one of the things that I've struggled with as a marketer is like, yeah, it's great. We do these webinars and 900 people register and 500 people show up, right? And then how many leads does the client actually get? And how many people are actually willing to have a call with them? But well, here's a good example on the screen is, Clarimed, and then the ability to click through on on one of their profiles, and it leads to a download our usability kit, as the call to action. And so the person downloads the usability kit, and they see at the end of the usability kit, hey, book a free 1 hour call with one of our experts, right? So now you've created a channel for this to happen. So as you develop this content, you're just saying, okay, I didn't just do a webinar. I created a workbook, or I created a checklist, or I created a how-to guide and a white paper, for example. And so all these things, then, oh, you want to download the slides, or you want to do this, you want to do that. You create a channel for opening up a discussion. And I think the thing that AI is never really going to be able to do is um, replace human conversations. So the moment that I actually pick up the phone and I call Carrie or I call Elon, that's where the magic happens. And that's the point that we're trying to get to. The point is not to create another platform. The point is not to do all of this long run for no outcome. The point is, I know what everyone on this call wants is more customers and more money. Okay. And so my whole existence has been around engineering, getting people to talk to each other that don't want to talk to each other. Okay. And taking complex content that on the surface is boring and hard to listen to and making it interesting. Okay, that's marketing. Marketing is taking information and transforming it into knowledge, right? Into something useful. And so the point of all this is taking your knowledge, it just gives you a tool for taking your knowledge and transforming it into something very, very useful. And from that, hopefully, you know, um, uh, it will lead to more business. Because when I tell you that there is a tsunami coming for knowledge workers at this point, and that the way that people consume information and the way that people work with consultants, you know, I'd brace myself if I were you, because the things that I'm reading are pretty terrifying, and I am trying to build a platform that's looking 2, 3 years into the future, not looking at, well, in 2015, we used to sell courses on our website. That's great that you used to be able to sell courses on your website. That's no longer the case, you know? The people would be
And
like,
by the way, like on the flip side of this too, like there's obviously on the expert side of it, we all want new clients, new business and all of that. But having been a startup founder myself and having lots of clients who are startup founders, and I got a soft spot for them. When you're starting a company and you're trying to build out your team of experts around you, you can't hire people all over the place. Having a place where you can go and just see a list of them and just going like, okay, I need somebody on the cybersecurity side. Whom can I reach out to? Where I heard that I should be, I want to think about like the EU and how do I get out there? And then I can come in here and in one place see them, see their content, go like, I don't know, Tibor puts out a lot of content. We haven't uploaded it yet. But once we do, like if somebody comes in here and they see he's consistently putting out really good content on a topic, if I'm a founder of a company, I'm going like, hey, this is somebody I want to reach out to. So it's as like on the other side of this, not just the experts, but on the startups and then medical device manufacturer side, I think it's a great resource, to just have a single place where you can not only see different experts in different fields, but see how they think, see what kind of quality content they put out. And it does place the onus on us on the other side as the experts to create good content, right? Like, I mean, still, it is true, I think, that content is king. You're ultimately trying to build trust. And I always say trust comes in two flavors. There's a trust of like, can I trust this person is ethical? And then there's, can I trust this person is competent? And here you're able to show that competence through kind of like a show don't tell, right? Like it's not just, hey, look at the three-letter acronyms after my name. It's more like, hey, look at my thought process on pre-submissions or my thought process on threat modeling or whatever. So, all right, I know we're over time, Sean. I don't know if you had any last things.
There were a couple people that had questions that didn't get answered to try to follow up with you individually. I want to thank everybody for your time and your attention today. Stay tuned for more details. Again, as Jose said, if you share this with your network, and we'll give you a way to share it with your network, you will get, what is it?
3 months free of any subscription that you want.
Yeah.
The expert.
So you can't beat that with a stick. And thank you all. Thanks, Jose. Working with Jose is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent job, guys. I've got a quick question. This is the first invite I've actually gotten into my email. Obviously, I've been kind of busy and I haven't been able to attend Fridays. Are we going to start Fridays up and then are we going to get invites directly to our email? Because I can't always find it on LinkedIn. So that's kind of one of the reasons I have not attended as much. One, I've been busy, but two, it's hard to find the invite for me. Are you guys going to start to like invite it to people's emails again? Because this is the first one I've gotten and it's directly to my email.
We've had some problems with Zoom, but I'm just gonna have a list of people that get added as panelists regardless, because it's the invites aren't getting through, but the panelist invites are. So
Okay.
if you want to be a permanent panelist, just ping me and I'll add you to the list.
I want to be a permanent panelist. I can't always refer. But yeah, it's one of the reasons I can't find the invite. And so if I want to attend, I got to make it easy to find it. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's been kind of challenging for me.
sorry about that.
No, I mean, in all honesty, it's 50-50. I was completely swamped with QMSR. So half of it was my fault. And the other half was I wasn't getting the invite. So it wasn't totally you guys.
Welcome back to the land of the living, by the way.
Thank you. Well,
Nice to see
thank
your
you. I
smiling
missed you guys.
face.
I
And
missed you guys terribly.
yeah, so we're gonna figure out a way to publish the MLV100 this weekend and make it shareable. I don't want to publish a 25-page document that gives people no reason to come to the website, and I don't want to just publish a list. So it's like, ugh, any ideas, let me know. But I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got everybody picked though.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things you see right there is, like I said, most of the people on the network right now are the MLV 100s. There's only 116 experts, right? So there's just a few who are not. But right now, this is kind of the yearbook. And if you've got this little tag, it means that you were selected. And in your profile, there's a little blurb as to like why you were selected for the MLV 100. So congratulations if you're on this list. And yeah, Sean will also share something else.
That's it from me.
That's it.
Thank
Great.
you.
See everybody.
Very good.